Welcome, Navin.
Yes.
I got your name right. So I really appreciate you coming, and I think it's fabulous that you're focusing on cryptocurrencies at Ernst and Young, and obviously you would have some idea of what you can offer as far as that to your clients. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So just quick background. I'm a tax partner in the EY practice in San Francisco. I'm with the financial service group, which means most of my clients are hedge funds, venture capitalists, private equity. So I work on basically the buy side, investors that are out there in the market. About 4 or 5 years ago, one of my clients started dabbling into buying into Bitcoins. He said, I'm setting up a fund. I want to invest in Bitcoins. I said, great. Good idea. Can you explain to me what that even is? Because I had no idea. And so that's how I kind of got started in this world a few years ago. And then, of course, as it's taken off in the last year or two, my existing client base have been asking more and more about this new asset class, and so especially my hedge fund clients. So based on that, I started really kind of spending a lot of time learning about this world and, of course, the tax implications of investing in it.
Right. And I think it's important to have people like yourself who are a bit ahead of the game looking at that sort of thing, and then therefore obviously when the waters broke and everyone jumped the chasm at the end of last year, that obviously you'd be in great demand, I would imagine. Can you tell me a little bit about what some of the boundaries or the limitations as regards taxation are with cryptocurrency here in the US?
Sure. I mean, one of the big issue is, as you kind of mentioned, a year ago, no one was really looking into the space. It kind of exploded summer of 2017. So from a reality point of view, there wasn't a lot of regulation out there. There was one IRS notice that came out back in 2014, and literally no other guidance from that point on. And now if you look at it, you go to a panel and there'll be an SEC person there, and he'll say, you know what, should be governed by the SEC, because it's really more like a security. And then you'll have someone from the CTFC say, you know what, at the end of the day, this is really like a commodity and we should be governing it, right? So that's kind of things. And you have the IRS, you have the SEC, you have CTFC, all thinking they should govern it and at least have some rules on it. But the reality is we have no guidance at this point. Again, very early stage. From a tax perspective, I have to go by what the IRS says, and that's kind of my starting point. And that's how I start my analysis from that point on. But the reality is, until we get further guidance, what I talk to my clients about is that there is risk, for sure, from a tax position. We can make assumptions, we can analyze it to existing products out there, financial products or other cases out there, what we think you can and cannot do. But the reality is it's a lot of research. It's kind of taking a reasonable position, but there's still risk at this point without further guidance. And that's kind of where we are right now. So, my point is I think at the end of the day, I do see, guidance will be beneficial because then we have a little bit more guidance of what to do going forward.
And so with the IRS, do people have to declare whatever Bitcoin they have, or is it only if it's over 20K?
So the reality is tax has no de minimis rule, right? So if you made $1, you need to report it. That's just the way tax works. So, but the reality is that people that buy and sell these coins on these exchanges that are out there, you're not getting the reporting you would if you were at a big brokerage house. This is not like Morgan Stanley or someone that's going to give you a 1099 report and say, this was your cost, this is what you sold it for, this is your gain or loss, right? You're not getting that reporting. So reality, it's all self-reporting. And that's kind of the difficulty right now. And the IRS has recognized this. That's why they're attacking these exchanges, and we need information what's going on there. But the reality is, it is self-reporting. And again, it kind of comes to you because right now the IRS doesn't have access to the information. But any transaction, any buy or sell that you are doing, it is reportable and has kind of, and have to pay the tax on it. But I think right now the government, the technology, and the tax rules haven't caught up yet to each other. But it's coming. Definitely coming. You've seen this in other areas too, like for example, FATCA, which came out a couple of years ago, which is when people wanted to find out if people had offshore bank accounts where the IRS still wasn't sure what people were doing. Eventually, the world got together and they put rules and ways to figure that out. So eventually, I think they're going to have to do something similar to that too right now. But the reality is right now it's self-reporting. And unless you report it, no one's going to know about it. But the tax rules say if you did it, you do need to technically report that income.
Good to get informed about it, like before it comes crashing down on you, right?
That's right. Exactly.
I was wondering if you have a personal vision of where you think this is all going. You have been involved before the big hit last year, and I believe there's a great future as far as cryptocurrency and blockchain goes.
Sure.
What's your idea?
Sure. No, I totally agree. I mean, so like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, I got exposed to this as a kind of an investment class through one of my clients. At that time, 4 or 5 years ago, I read every article. I went to every panel discussion, anything out there talking about blockchain, Bitcoin, what it all meant, what the reasons were behind it. During these few years about reading and getting so much knowledge about it, I found out at the end of the day that this does have commercial aspects to it that are needed in the market. Simple example, you have a cousin of yours in Africa and he needs $100 right now. Well, you could send it through Western Union, but the cost does not make any sense, right? Yeah. But the reality is I can put one coin from my wallet to his almost like basically with no friction or any loss of money, and then he can use that immediately. So you can see out there, big picture, that this does play a role in the market. So based on that, I'm very bullish about it, that it has a future and it has needs. There are needs for it out there. I always tell people that the reality is, like a year or two ago, I actually started doing this myself just for fun. Unfortunately, I didn't do a lot. That's why I'm still working. I'm not retired yet. But I'm not a millionaire yet. But I realized that this does have value. And I did it more and more as a tax practitioner, that how can I give tax advice if I truly don't know what's going on there. But no, if I look out in the future, this definitely has a place in it. I do think it's going to be considered a new asset class. If you look at all the major investors out there, the funds that are out there, I think they're all going to eventually kind of put a small piece of their fund towards this in some way or some manner. And I always tell people, the reality is, if you think, well, I'm not going to buy a Bitcoin or any coins, our company's not going to issue any of them. The reality is, you may get caught in this world even if you don't want to. Again, simple example, one of your big suppliers issues you a token that you can use to get discount on services. Then why are you not going to take that coin, right? Yeah. So you'll take it. Well, now you have a coin on your balance sheet. How are you going to account for it? What are the tax implications? So even if you don't want to get into this world, as it expands, it's going to bring more and more people into it. And I think eventually it's just going to keep rolling and become a much bigger thing.
Well, that's good news. Obviously, I'm hoping for a great future. Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate your contribution to the panel.
Sure, no problem at all.